Hey everybody, good Tuesday to you. And we've got the women's Final Four, we got Major League Baseball, we got NFL rule changes, we got some TV radio news coming up. So, Matthew, where would you like to kick it off, buddy?
Let's dive into the new football rules. Everybody loves this time of year when they decide they're going to change the sport. Sometimes drastically, sometimes without anybody ever realizing it on the with the
Mhm.
on-field product. Sometimes it's the kickoff change, and sometimes it's the pass interferences can be
Mhm.
reviewed changes, and sometimes they move the kickoff you know they changed like the way the clock runs or something like that, and it's a little bit
Mhm.
less noticeable. They moved the kickoff up 5 yards or something like that, and it's just not something that you realize throughout the process of the game.
Until you look at it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, look, the process of the 18 game schedule is probably a foregone conclusion. It may not happen this year, probably won't, um, but it is going to happen soon enough. So here's the rule changes. Onside kick allowed anytime during the game. Okay.
hmm
The NFL again amended its onside kick rule, making them less restrictive. The league changed the rules in 2024 to mandate that a team can only declare an onside kick when trailing in the fourth quarter. Before then, they relaxed them to allow the trailing team to declare an onside kick at any time. Now, both teams can declare an onside kick at any point, regardless of whether or not they're trailing or not. Now, not that I want to stop there for just a minute. The two proposals regarding the kickoff were passed. One eliminates the kicking team's incentive to intentionally kick the ball out of bounds when kicking from the 50-yard line, according to Tom Preseason of the NFL Network. While the other changes aligns with the rule requirements of the receiving team giving the ability to do this. Now, um, what is the sense of me saying to you, whether I'm in front or behind, that I'm going to do an onside kick?
yeah. That's been the biggest like disconnect with
The hell
the
does that mean? I mean,
yeah. Well, and I think that's one of the biggest problems with their new kickoff rules that they implemented. I believe it was starting last year.
23.
Okay, 23, where they did this split, like you've set up, you've stopped these guys, and
Mm,
I'm curious what the science or the math that goes into it in terms of player safety and things such as that and return numbers that incentivize them to change this format. But I don't like the having to declare it. Like the issue wasn't that there was a certain subset of rules
mm,
surrounding the onside kick. It's like, well, that's why everybody's up in arms because oh no, like we have to be losing in the fourth quarter to do it.
mm,
That's what no the problem that people have with the rule is that you have to declare it. Like it takes
mm,
all the skill out of like or not even skill, but there's an aspect of special teams that's now gone. Like there's ways that you can gain specific advantages if you're really good at certain aspects of special teams, and
mm.
that was one of them. And they just completely removed it from the game. Like Sean Payton, taking one, stealing one at half of the Super Bowl, that's gone. That's never
Mm.
going to happen again because now Sean Payton's got to run over there and tell the Colts that, hey, guess what? We're going to onside kick to start the second half now.
Right.
So it loses all of it loses the advantage that it gives them.
Well, it's
And
like saying to that's like saying to the special teams, you have to tell me when you're fake punt.
yeah, it just doesn't like it takes away the element of surprise. And that's part of what made the onside kick effective at times was the element of surprise. And without
Mhm,
it, like yes, you may think that a team is going to onside kick if
mhm.
they're, down two scores late in the fourth quarter, but you don't know that for certain. You'll probably be smart and set up your return team as if they're going to onside kick, but there's
Right.
no guarantees in that. Now it's guaranteed. Like you get to set your guys up for these specific situations, and it takes a lot out of what you can do on special teams.
Right. Uh, I didn't like the rule change in the first place, and I never really so
Yeah, I mean, it's just yeah, they edited it, good for them. They didn't shift what the root cause of the problem with it is. And there's no way they can with the way things are set up. Like,
no, it's
you
stupid.
obviously have to declare an onside kick, otherwise it's going to be physically impossible for the other team
Mhm.
to recover it.
I don't know why they don't do. I mean, to me, I like the CFL way, right? So if you return a kick from the end zone, you get a point.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think at that point you're changing. Like, I don't think you want to go similar to the CFL because
Mhm.
people look at the CFL as like a lesser than football league, the same way like the USFL, like it's
Mhm.
considered a step down. And you don't want to mirror those leagues too much because they do different things to attract an audience that the NFL doesn't have to do because they have an existing audience, right?
Okay.
And so when you're doing that, it does feel like you're straying away a little bit from the game of football, but that's something that they're trying to do anyways. And it's something that now they use as player safety. And I'm fine with player safety, obviously an advocate for player safety, but you need some substantial data to back this stuff up if you're going to fundamentally change the game that you're presenting year in and year out.
Right. And let's be honest, right? The NFL stole the AFL rules whenever they changed. They
Hmm.
never had 2-point conversions. The AFL did. They never had names on the back of their jerseys. The AFL
Hmm.
comes in, they all have jerseys. Okay. They took everything. And look, this is not the NBA didn't have a 3-point shot until the ABA merged with them.
Yeah.
The NHL didn't have wider rinks and allow players from Europe to play in their league until the AHL did.
Yeah.
So all of these, quote unquote, so-called mainstream rules were really taken from other leagues. So I get it. You think this is crazy. Fair enough. But you know, I don't understand how um this whole kickoff situation protects anybody. Um, I if they want to provide the data, that's fine, but I don't get it, and it just doesn't wash with me. Maybe whatever, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Fine, it's
Yeah.
that Roger's not going to listen to me, so let's move
Yeah.
on. NBA, NBA, NFL able to correct clear and obvious missed calls by referees. Now, replacement referees because they're in the middle of pissing off the referees who are not going to come back. Maybe.
Hmm.
Um, in an interesting twist, the rule was approved by granting the NFL officiating department in New York the ability to correct and clear an obvious missed call by officials on the field, but only in the event that a work stoppage keeps the league full-time officials off the field. So that means an incident like going back in the 2012 Fall Mary involving the replacement refs cannot happen again if the NFL uses replacement referees because the league could step in quickly and correct the call. If and when there is a work stoppage, the NFL would then no longer have the ability to correct officials' decisions. So basically, this is just like we're going to take care of people who can't make calls because we don't want to sign a contract with the NFL officials.
Yeah. Yeah. A little cheap, a little lazy. Also, why is it just for replacement refs? Like, I don't think the game needs more stoppages in
Mm-mm.
play for replay review or anything like that. But if it's something where you can buzz down and just be like, "Hey guys,
You
that
missed
was
it.
pass
Yeah.
interference," yeah, or that was pass interference, clear and obvious. Like if they could have
Mhm.
just quickly buzzed down in that NFC Championship game and been like,
Mhm.
"Hey, yeah, that's pass interference on Los Angeles. You got to award
Mhm.
them a first down." Cool,
Right.
fine. It's not something where we need to go to the booth.
For an
The
overturn. Yeah, an overturn. Right.
go get under the shield or the hood of it,
Mhm.
look at it for 15 minutes.
Right.
We don't need more of that in really any of the leagues.
Well, they also are going to be able to work with these quote unquote um, officials to penalize eject players for flagrant acts. And and what is this is kind of a direct response to DK Metcalf's punching of a Lions fan in Detroit last season. The NFL owners passed a rule allowing the league officials to consult with referees about potential penalties or ejections for flagrant football acts and non-football acts such as Metcalf's punch. Metcalf was not ejected from the game because an official didn't see the punch along with the Steelers sideline. But the new rule would allow the NFL to step in and eject that player in a similar scenario.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do think it's interesting they cited DK Metcalf, so they're going to throw Metcalf out of the game for punching somebody not in the game.
Yeah.
Is interesting. That feels like don't get me wrong, I not at all condoning what he did. I guess it's just confusing how something that's not relating to the game can get him thrown out of the game. That feels like an issue where they would have dealt with that after the fact, and they did deal with it after the fact.
They did after the fact. Yeah. And I mean, look, I get it if the official didn't see him punch a fan.
Yeah.
But somebody saw him punch a fan. And there's no way. I mean, look, the league office could have just as easily, within that whole group of replay people in Park Avenue where the NFL offices are, could have very simply buzzed the boys and say, "Hey, look, guys, DK hit a fan in, and he needs to be taken. He needs to be taken off the field."
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
they could have done it last year.
Yeah.
So I don't get it, but so far we've had 2 rules and 2 stupid things that come out of it. All right, roster business changes. While only player rules while the only player rules, changed. Some of the rules related to the rosters in front office business also were changed. The NFL now has the ability to adjust roster reduction dates during training camp to account for international games in week 1, likely adding because of the Australia game between the 49ers and the Rams that will require earlier travel. Saturday and Sunday of Labor Day weekend are now designated as business day to provide clubs with personnel notices during the first week after the roster reduction. So in other rule changes, you can now open 21-day practice window after the second game of the season for players on your PUP list. Players on the PUP list must be listed for must have missed the first 4 games of the season. League only passed the Steeler proposal to make permanent the changes from this past free agency period, which is when teams could hold video calls up to 5 players during a tampering period. Previously, teams could only hold in-player contact with their agents during that period. That's a very confusing way to say that. On one hand, we're talking about the Australia game first. Let's get that one out of the way. The 49ers and the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
That trip is a 17-hour flight down and back. There's no way a team could come back and play the following week after playing that game.
No.
You would just your whole mental and physical. It's not like flying from the East Coast to West Coast, folks. It is flying across the international date line, and you're talking another hemisphere.
Yeah,
So
it takes like a 1 full week to recover, just like getting your body back into a sleep
sleep schedule, eating schedule, everything.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you feel weak and tired for
right. So they're going to let people basically carry a roster that might be a little larger than 53 players during that. The other has to do with the ability to basically try to poach people from other teams. You can now do it through your agent. You don't have to do it via Zoom call.
Yeah.
They did not ban the tush push, which is something that the Browns originally proposed. So there you go on that. That's your rule changes for the NFL.
That tush push one feels like it's a matter of time until it gets put through. Like everybody, like somebody brings it up every single year in the meetings, every single year. So at some point, it's going to get the votes. I feel like it's a matter of, when, not if.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I have a split opinion on it because there's parts of it that I'm okay with, and there's other parts of it that I'm not okay with. Like when the Eagles, I think it's an advantage to be able to know that you're getting 1 yard out of this play every time. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
not something that's going to help you. Like it's not something where you can run the tush push 4 times and get a first down. It's
No.
not. It's not. Overpowered in that sense. But there is something to coaching it the correct way, having the right level when you snap the football and being able to get the push required to get a yard every single time.
Mm-hmm.
That's important. But like the false starts that came off of it that just weren't getting called, that's a bad. Like you've got to officiate that closer and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. So I have a mixed opinion on the play itself, but I my opinion on whether or not it will eventually be banned is pretty concrete in the fact that at some point, yes.
Yeah, I mean it's basically a rugby scrum,
Yeah.
and so you know it's you can do it. And I mean, the next thing is just grabbing a small player and throw him over over the goal line. It's like let's just toss Saquon Barkley over the you know over the goal line and throw him into the end zone.
Yeah, we put two we threw two Olympian
Right,
shot putters back here in the backfield.
right,
We're gonna snap it straight to Saquon and let him toss him over over the
right.
pile here. So
I thought you were going to go with a high jumper. It's like
yeah, hey, yeah, yeah,
the guy
we
can
get
clear 7 feet. So
yeah, we've
you
got we've got John back here. He is 5'6". He
right,
weighs a buck 15, and they are
right.
literally just gonna toss this guy for
Right.
5 yards.
They're gonna throw him over with the
Yeah.
ball. Yeah, that's the next one, the aerial move. Um, little inside sports broadcasting. Netflix has put up an offer to the end. Right now, the NFL uh, is in talks with their media partners. They have an opt out. The National Football League has an opt out in 2028, 2029, that they can get out of the contract, the existing contract. They took a look at the $71 billion that the NBA received and said, this $100 billion that we're getting isn't enough. So we need more money. So here we go. Fox and CBS are pretty much safe. Okay. NBC is also pretty much safe. ESPN's Monday Night Football, probably safe. So where is the streamers going? All right. Well, we know that Amazon's got the Thursday night games and the Black Friday game. We know that Netflix has the two Christmas Day games, and we know that YouTube has the first game of the season. The one that's normally played down in Brazil or Mexico or wherever. And basically that's it. And YouTube also has the Sunday ticket.
Mhm.
So, as you and I have been discussing your favorite games, the European games in the morning, the NFL is looking put together a package of 6 to 8 games. Right now, Netflix is willing to just roll out a major check and take that. It's interesting because YouTube is interested. We don't know how interested they're interested, but they're interested. And I don't think Prime would give up the Thursday night game to try to get those early morning games. It's meaningful to Netflix because they're an international. The platform is international.
Yeah.
So their only competition might be Apple. In that case.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was thinking, and this is more just consumer based, but I understand why it's would be going to Netflix. I understand why on Netflix's end of things why it's probably a good business move. I just continue to not be a fan of them putting more games behind paywalls. Like, yes, you pay for YouTube TV, or you pay for your cable subscription that comes with X, or you have in X number of games, or you have Sunday Ticket that you pay for, but Sunday Ticket doesn't give you the game on Prime. Sunday Ticket probably wouldn't give you the game on Netflix, stuff like that. So you're now adding subscriptions and ways to watch this stuff. And I think one thing that specifically the NFL, and something that I think the MLB's kind of done a good job of with their MLB.TV packages, is the ability to pay for one thing and access everything. That's where the disconnect comes when you're trying to get college football, you're trying to get college basketball, what have you, is this: how many subscriptions do I have to pay for to get everything, right? And how many places is it? And it may bring you more money in. I'm just curious what it's going to lose you on the backside of things in terms of your consumers, because not everybody's going to pay for Netflix. Not everybody paid for Prime. Yes, it's still doing good. I'm not saying that it's by any means a negative product or anything like that. I think Amazon would be very happy with their investment that they've made up until this point. But it doesn't happen immediately. But over time, the expansion and continuance to spread things across different platforms and price increases and paying for multiple services to be able to get everything, that wears on customers. And I guess the biggest plus is like Prime and Netflix and stuff like that. They offer other content, so you're technically getting stuff when you pay for that. Other than that, but I think most people would probably look at it like, if I don't have Netflix, I'm not going to go pay for Netflix so I can watch the Jaguars play the Titans at 9 a.m. in London.
Right. I think that what we see here was illustrated last week with Netflix had the opening baseball game. Okay. They paid Major League Baseball for that game $15 million. Okay. One game. It brought them back 250,000 subscribers.
That'll do it.
So I'm not disputing what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that the problem for consumers is that the professional sports leagues are very greedy. They will take the money if it's on the table. Now, one thing that I think is important to note is that, at least for the time being, and the time being I'm saying is maybe the next decade, what's going to happen is we're not going to get the Sunday afternoon packages and the Sunday night package messed around with. Okay. You're going to get free TV for the majority of the Sunday games on CBS, Fox, and NBC. Which, by the way, not to be nitpicking here, but the CBS and NBC games are on also on Paramount Plus and on Peacock. And whatever Fox comes up with in the way of I think it's Fox One or something, will probably be on Fox One in there. So there is even still streaming with regard to, for those people who are cable cutters and just want to go and get their streaming services. The Netflix deal, I think, proves, or at least proves to me, that the NFL is not, because they know they could write Netflix, Apple, or Prime or Amazon could write checks that any one of the networks, traditional network, couldn't even touch. So if they wanted that afternoon package, they could have it. If the NFL wanted to go that route, if they wanted to go just purely on money, they would want to go that route. So they're not willing to do that, and the league at this point in time realizes that they could get themselves in more trouble. Less likely that trouble would be from the consumer, and more likely from the government.
Yeah.
Because the government would start screaming about people not being able to see their favorite teams and all that fun stuff. So I think that what we're looking at in that regard is more of a they're saying, all right, look, let's experiment, right? This is what they did with Thursday Night Football, experiment, and that's paid off huge for them. And let's see what happens. Now, oddly enough, the Thursday night game has more people now watching it than when it was on Fox and CBS. But they also have a much younger demographic, which is why the league is leaning into the streaming. And I think part of the issue that we're going to see with the NFL is they're going straight up against the soccer crowd in the morning, and they had a good. The league had a good. Deal going with that soccer situation, because that soccer is what helped them open up the European leagues areas to them, because they play mostly in soccer stadiums anyway when they go over there. So it'll be interesting to see how this works. The window makes sense for Netflix, because if you're going on a worldwide basis, well, you're 9 a.m. is 2:00 in the afternoon in England, 3:00 in the afternoon in Europe, 4:00 in the afternoon in the Middle East. Hell, it's in prime time in Australia. So so I can understand where they want to go with it, and why they would go with a Netflix or an Amazon, or somebody's got a global presence. So we'll see. We will see.
Yeah, I would be interested to see, like, in Europe, what demographics. And granted, it's something where maybe if the option's available, they're able to draw some. But I'm curious how many people are passing up on soccer. Would be passing up on soccer to watch football in the morning, like in that same window. I wouldn't imagine that's going to be a whole heck of a lot, because soccer is king over there.
Yeah, I think that all they're trying to do is grow the audience.
Yeah.
You're not going to stop watching your favorite soccer team play, but the thing is, in the English window, basically those games are played. The Sunday games are basically played in the early afternoon, which would push it, which that 9 o'clock would push. The 9 o'clock game would probably be at halftime when the first Premier League game got underway.
Yeah.
And so, I think that all they're really doing is testing the waters. And if somebody's going to pay you a lot of money to let you do that, well, then, a proof of concept is okay. If you're getting, $200 million a season for, probably $500 million a season for 6 to 8 games.
Yeah.
Which aren't, frankly, making any money in the U.S. I mean, when they televise them on the NFL Network, they might as well, they're getting the ratings they're not bad, but they're not necessarily phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
because you're talking 9 o'clock in the East, but you're also talking 6 o'clock in the morning out in the West.
Yeah, and that's just Like out west, that's a big disconnect and something that I didn't understand last year. It's like why are we sending the Rams to London? Their fans are predominantly Western based, unless I'm assuming you probably still have that group of people in St. Louis that are holdovers from their time there. Um, and 6 a.m. is just not a window where, like, yeah, you're going to get some diehard fans, but if somebody's like, yeah, like I enjoy watching the Rams, nobody's waking up at 6 a.m. to watch the Los Angeles Rams in London, especially not. And I think this is another part of their problem I think if we're just being flat out honest, they intentionally send subpar matchups across the pond.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not they like openly admit it, I don't know, but they don't pick games where they're going to be like, this is going to be a good game, and they do that intentionally
Mm-hmm.
because it's more, as you've talked about, it's just getting the product in front of people. It's not about getting the best version of the product in front of people.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, the deal for this, right,
Mm-hmm.
is, well, the 49ers and the Rams is a pretty good matchup, but
Yeah.
they're going to Australia. I think that it's your inventory, right? You want to own the day. So if you own the day, let's say 9 o'clock is your first game, right?
Mm-hmm.
But hell, your pregame show is going to be on at 6 o'clock in the morning in the east, 3 o'clock in the morning out west. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're talking that you're going to own the TV window from 3 o'clock. I'm sorry, from 9 o'clock in the morning Eastern time to after midnight, ish, with the
Yeah.
NBA, with the I'm sorry, the NBC game on Sunday night.
Yeah.
Uh, and I mean, they took the cue out of the college, right? But there's no college that even starts at 9 o'clock because they don't play games. Occasionally they'll play a game over in Europe, but not that many. Does that happen? It's usually just Notre Dame playing over in Ireland.
Yeah, I was about to say they have that Aer Lingus game
Yeah.
that has kicked off the season in week 0. The
Mhm.
last I feel like it's been the last couple of years, unless I'm just
It's
forgetting.
been there for quite a while, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So they have that game, but still, notice when that game kicks off. It kicks
Mhm.
off at like noon, right? Or
Mhm.
I think it actually I don't think it's been 3. I think based on the time difference, it's always kicked off at noon. But still, like you're gonna tune in at noon. It's not 9 a.m. So it
Mhm.
is possible to do.
Well, yeah, because they play that game in the evening.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right. Well, we'll see what happens. Real quick, let's run down today's baseball uh, card before we get out of here. Okay, at Camden Yards at 6:35 tonight. Jacob DeGrom, there's a name out of the past, huh? And Zach
Mhm.
Eflin. Now that used to be a Mets and Phillies matchup. You got Texas Baltimore tonight at the Yard. That game first pitch 6:35. Pittsburgh is at Cincinnati. That's a 6:40 start. Chandler throwing for the Buccos. Williamson on the hill for Cincinnati. Washington, surprising Washington, is at Philadelphia. They put 12 runs on the board at Philadelphia last night. Poland is pitching for Washington. Painter on the hill for Philadelphia. The White Sox are in South Beach to take on Miami. That's a 6:40 start. And Freddie is on the mound for the White Sox. Junk on the mound for Miami. Colorado at Toronto, 7:07 start at the Sky Dome. It's Feather against Scherzer. Max on the bump for Toronto tonight. Athletics in Atlanta, 7:15. Savali is pitching for the Athletics. Suarez on the hill for Atlanta. The Angels they're in Chicago Wrigley Field, 7:40 Eastern time. First pitch. Soriano for the Angels. Tellen for the Cubbies. The Rays are in Milwaukee. That's a 7:40 Eastern time start. Shane McClanahan, back on the hill for the Rays. I haven't seen him in a while.
Mhm.
Woodruff on the hill for Milwaukee. The Mets are in St. Louis for a 7:45 Eastern start. That's Senga for the Mets and Palante for St. Louis. Boston, that's a team I've heard rumors that somebody around here likes, is in Houston tonight. That's an 8:10 start. Bello throwing for Boston and Brown throwing for Houston. Detroit at Arizona, that's a 9:40 Eastern start. Mize for Detroit. I never get this guy's name. Is it Flat? P-F-A-A-B-T. Fat. Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's just pronounced fat.
Okay. Well, it is right now. That's what we're calling it. San Francisco down the coast in San Diego tonight at Petco. We got Logan Webb on the bump for the Giants. The Padres is Marquez. The Yankees are in Seattle, 9:40. That's a TBS game, by the way, in case you were interested, folks. Max Fried against Gilbert. And capping tonight's action is the Guardians making the trip to Chavez Ravine to play the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. And Bibby is on the hill for Cleveland, and the Dodgers counter with Shohei Ohtani. So that's your schedule of baseball tonight in the major leagues.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any final thoughts before we bump on out of here?
Oh yeah, just another lovely day of where I'm gonna sit down and torture myself by turning on the Boston Red Sox at 8 p.m. It has been a horrendous start to their season, mainly on offense. Their offense looked fine in Game 2 against Cincinnati. Not something, but they didn't win that game because their pitching was bad. Pitching was batting in last night, so you're batting you're batting 500 on whether or not your pitching's going to come out there and get decent stuff, and then you're batting about 250 on whether or not you're going to get something out of your offense. So far, the offense has only been Wilyer Abreu. Facing Hunter Brown is not the ideal scenario if you're Boston with the struggling offense and the inability to hit with runners in scoring position. But again, they continue to not be good defensively. They didn't pitch well last night, and they still couldn't hit. If their name is not Wilyer Abreu right now, they are not hitting the baseball, and it is like it's like listening to nails on a chalkboard for 2.5, 3 hours, depending on how many times they strike out, which has been a lot lately,
unfortunately. But the good news for Red Sox fans is that both the Orioles and the Rays bullpens have not been able to hold leads going into late innings, and they've been blowing games here and there. So we're only what, 4 games into the season, I guess.
4 games, yeah.
So we got a ways to go, and hopefully they'll figure it out before things get too heated. But it's going to be fun to see how it all plays out, and there's plenty of time to hopefully get it straight. So we'll work it out.
If things don't turn around, there ain't gonna be no fun to be had this season in Boston.
There'll be no fun in Fenway land.
Yeah,
in the neighborhood. So, well, let's hope they get the ship righted. I know a lot of teams are looking for that whole thing, and then there's the Nationals, which I think is hilarious. I turned it on last night. I turned it on last night just to see what was going on. I didn't even know what the score was. I just flipped the game on, and they're up 7-0 on the Phillies. I'm like, what happened here?
Yeah, they're playing ridiculously well. The Cubs, who went out and signed Alex Bregman, traded for Edward Cabrera, like they made some moves. They signed some guys to extensions. It's clear where their mission was headed this year. And then the same thing goes for the Phillies. 2 teams that you do not expect to beat, and so far they've handled it. They're 3-1 on the year. And that really, I would say, a dream start, considering you look at the schedule and you start in Chicago and then you take a trip to Philadelphia.
That's not what you want. Yes.
Yeah. No, that's a horrible start to a year.
Yeah. And they're getting pitching and guys are hitting, and I got to go to the scorecard to find out who these people are. So it's one of those kind of things. But it just goes to prove that when you make trades and guys come up through the minor leagues, prospects become interesting.
Yep.
Now, how long this is going to last, who knows? But they'll take the ride for as long as they can at this point.
Absolutely.
Yep. Take it and enjoy it. All right. Speaking of taking and enjoy, you all have a lovely and safe Tuesday afternoon. Matthew and I'll be back and see you tomorrow. Until that time, my friends, take care. Okay, Matthew